Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Swiss Korean Science Club Untouched Interactions through Machine Learning. I'm Jian Lee, Junior Project Manager at Science and Technology Office at the Embassy of Switzerland in Seoul. And we are part of the Swiss Next Network, the outposts aimed at connecting Switzerland with the world's innovation hubs. Our monthly Swiss Korean Science Club highlights and promotes the cooperation between the two countries in diverse fields of studies and researches. We organize the Science Club generally at the embassy, but the digital version, which we started along with the corona outbreak, is giving us great opportunity to now be connected with our partners in Switzerland and in many other places around the world as well. So it is our great pleasure to welcome you all here. Today's Science Club will start soon with two speakers, one from SUPSI of Switzerland and the other from Hongik University of South Korea, whose project was selected for the Leading House special COVID-19 call for project grants with Asia. The webinar will be under the moderation by Ms. Sarah Ibrahim, journalist at Swiss Info. I truly hope the Swiss Korean Science Club will offer every one of you a very great time to learn about the latest research trends in Switzerland and in Korea. Also, I wish our Science Club opens up new opportunities for potential cooperation and joint projects in the near future. For the next winners, maybe for calls for joint project trends between the two countries as well. Thank you very much. And now the floor is yours, Sarah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks, Ji-Yeon, for this presentation, and thanks also to the Science and Technology Office of the Swiss Embassy in South Korea for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to moderate this event. Before getting started, I'd like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Sarah Ibrahim, and I'm a journalist at the Swiss public media Swiss Info. Swiss Info is the international unit of the Swiss Broadcasting Corporation and publishes articles, mainly future articles, in 10 languages on different key topics for Switzerland, among which there is as well science. So in our science coverage, we try really to analyze and measure the impact of new age technologies on our society. And in this sense, there's no doubt that today's event deals with a very sensitive and important topic that concerns all of us, given the unique and historical moment that we are living today with this pandemic. So let me introduce our speakers and guests today. We have Serena Cangiano with us. Hi, Serena. Welcome.
Hi, Sarah.
Serena is researcher and head of the Fab Lab, the Laboratory of Visual Culture of the University of Applied Science and Arts of Southern Switzerland. And along with her, we also have Jae-Yeop Kim. Hi, Jae Kim, and welcome to you as well. Jae Kim is assistant professor at the Department of Industrial Design at Hongik University in Seoul. So together they worked on a joint project which was granted by the Leading House Special COVID-19 Call of ETH Zurich that promotes scientific cooperation mainly between Switzerland and Asia. They will illustrate today how machine learning based spaces can enable public and private interactions in the post-pandemic era in an untouched way, so in a way dominated by untouched and distance relations. The project involves students from South Korea and also tech developers from Europe in a workshop with the aim of creating an international and lively environment to reflect on COVID-19 and the role of technology in our cities to be able to get back to normal, even to find a sort of new normal. They also had the interesting opportunity to leverage on Switzerland and South Korea incredible assets as tech and design innovators. So it's really interesting, and I'm curious to hear directly from them their experience. So before giving the floor to Serena, I would like to remind you that you can send us your questions for the Q&A session in the Q&A function of this platform. And if you have any technical problems, you can directly write in the chat. So Serena, it's your turn.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Just give me a second that I start sharing my screen, and so you can see my slides. Okay, please let me know if you see my presentation. Do you see it again?
Yeah,
Yep,
we can see that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let me reduce. Okay. I'm very glad to join this event today to present the overall framework of this joint collaboration between SUPSI, the University of Applied Science and Arts of Southern Switzerland, the Department of Environment, Construction and Design, and the Department of Industrial Design, Intelligent Design Lab of Hongik University. Beside this institutional, let's say, framework, I would say that we are actually presenting the result, the overall framework of the first building block of a future research collaboration. So I'm very glad that we got this opportunity to set up this exchange, because I truly believe that from this really seed support, it's possible to really test, let's say, the way of collaborating together, a very important framework before actually really investing in in amazing or complete research infrastructure. So what I'm going to present first, it's me and our work at SUPSI. What you see here is the new fabrication and open innovation space at campus in Mendrisio, in Ticino, in the southern part of Switzerland, Italian-speaking part of Switzerland. It's actually very important for me to present this space because it's also the main infrastructure of the research project, even if this project is based on a distance and online communication. Basically, in this space, we want to propose as a kind of philosophy that is also driving some of the parts of this Untouched project, that is basically sharing infrastructure and knowledge to basically use and introduce researchers, students, and civil society to the fundamentals of technology, to understand technology as citizens and how this technology works around us. So it's a physical space where we basically explain whatever kind of technology, and also we connect a lot with advanced technology such as artificial intelligence. And we do it with a kind of design research perspective. That is also the main element of this collaboration. Basically, we are two research groups that are using and applying design methods to release knowledge and research knowledge. And this perspective is based basically trying to humanizing AI, and that's what we experiment at SUPSI since many years, trying to reduce the barrier to AI technology and involve creative people that are usually the one that have, let's say, really deep contact with the society and human needs. With something that they can use as a new tool for creating interface solution, especially within an international program dedicated to the interaction design discipline. What we started experimenting in the last year, it's actually how to create artificial intelligence-based experiences. So that's what we mean with humanizing AI. The goal is to understand how to embed artificial intelligence, not as a kind of technology that is controlling or being in the backstage of our products. That is actually what's happening now. We have artificial intelligence everywhere and in our smartphones, but basically using it as a tool for enhancing collaboration with computers, or also for creating something that is more adjusted to people everyday life. You see here a very funny example of how we used artificial intelligence to create a playful experience for kids in a physical product. And then what we also try to, let's say, propose in our research framework is a different perspective on the use of machine learning, artificial intelligence as a kind of tool for actually releasing innovation. And we do it through, of course, through education by suggesting very, let's say, different kind of challenges to developers and creative people, and usually creating environments, learning environments where these people meet and they create together. So our perspective, and the one that we put also in this collaboration project, is the one of the open innovation. It means that we really believe in having this mixed environment where researchers meet people from outside academia, and together they basically tackle and they face a challenge together, and they co-create to basically have a larger impact with the solution ideated. And we do it within a series of workshops that we started already many years ago together with our teacher, Matteo Loio, who is also involved in this research experience. That is actually a series of workshops called Machine Learning for Creatives. So then this is basically where the starting point, and the starting point is, of course, the interaction with Professor Jae-Hyop Kim at the Hongik University, where we try to convey all this concept in a new research activity that is actually focusing on the current context, or that is how COVID-19 pandemic changed the way we interact in public spaces, as we all know. And how basically COVID-19 changed the way we use services, devices, touch points, and how we actually share physical things. Of course, you are, I'm sure you are conscious that the last 10 years, we lived in a kind of sharing economy society where even a lot of startup companies or research projects were focusing on how creating a shared infrastructure involving also physical objects, like, for example, public transportation on public scooters, electric bikes. And so this actually, the world has been designed in the last 10 years based on sharing and touching. And so we have those experiences and interface everywhere in our spaces. So our research question basically was how we could design interactions that could be totally touch-free experiences. And also how we could actually translate and rethink our daily interaction. As you can see as background images, I did a selection of, this stereotype scenes that are really connected with life in Switzerland, when you have, let's say, shared pickup places for deliveries, or you have vending machine for train tickets that are already there since always and have been conceived and engineered to support services based on touch. And of course, this infrastructure is everywhere, and in the future must be, of course, redesigned according to this new requirement of the new normal, as also Sarah mentioned before. So it's basically, as let's call it, as interaction design researchers, we wanted to focus on a translation activity. So basically understand how all these touch-based gesture can be translated in untouched interfaces. And of course, it's an ambitious goal, and we started from little steps combined with technology. So the Untouched collaborative research project basically focus on how the paradigm of sharing and touch-based interaction could be the subject of fast redesign to activate also more socially and culturally acceptable interaction with technological device and services in public space. This is actually the description of a research that, of course, it could take years, but we wanted to tackle this this topic in a very agile way, and mainly what we wanted to include is also a social perspective, considering that this opportunity to collaborate with a South Korea institution allows an exchange on, let's call it a reflection on how technology will be integrated in different culture and society that accept interaction modalities in a different way. When I say that, just to give an example, I'm sure that you have been engaged in a discussion about face mask, and we all know how this, let's say, protection device has a different cultural perception that is different in Europe and in Asia. So even when we are designing new kind of devices or future interaction, we should be aware that these modalities will be actually accepted in different ways in different society with a different culture. And we also wanted to tackle this aspect, or partially, in actually the time frame of our research project. So the key areas, to summarize, were basically an action of translation, so novel interaction modalities, use machine learning, not just because it's an hype technology, it's actually an amazing tool for implementing new kind of interfaces that were not thinkable before, the latest release of novel tools using machine learning, and also focusing on openness. So to release a kind of open research framework that use mostly design methods to think about technology solution in a more inclusive way. How we are going to do that, or how we started doing that, is basically structuring this one-year project in 3 main activities. The first is actually this open research and research through design workshop that is part of the previous series of workshop organized by SUPSI called Machine Learning for Creative Workshop. Then there will be a second activity that is called Open Peer-to-Peer Libraries. And then there is the final activity that we called the Enabling Workshop. Let's start from the recent activity that we just closed in February. Is the online distance workshop that we co-organized together with the Intelligent Design Lab. And as also Sarah anticipated, is a workshop that involved students from Hongik University and a group of tech developers, designers from Europe and from Switzerland. These are the tutors and the people that mostly were involved in this part of the project. So we have Professor Jae-Hyop Kim that would speak later, and me, and then our main tutor that we should also thank, because it's let's say one of our key assets to bring this kind of concept in research. That is Matteo Loglio, professor, teachers at the Master in Interaction Design at SUPSI, and also director of an interaction design studio, is actually a former student of our school who is deeply engaged with the release of easy to use formats and tools for bringing machine learning in the hands of non-expert people. Non-expert people, I mean all people that are not actually into algorithm design, advanced algorithm design. We had, so in total, 15 participants from different cities, and that's something that we really like regarding the openness aspect of our project. And then we also had to deal with remote distance learning and the interaction. So we combine different tools, that is a Miro board, together with a tool that is used into the game industry, is called the Discord. Plus we had a selection of easy to use tools for making machine learning projects called Runaway AP5 JS that enabled all participants to quickly prototype, to quickly make functioning prototypes of their ideas. And in the end, in this workshop, I will leave then Professor Jae-Hyuk Kim to present some of the results. What we had is basically the release of innovative interfaces. In some cases, some teams of the workshop managed to combine a lot of existing libraries and to release examples of new gestures to control in an untouched way potentially the physical interfaces that we have in our space. This is, for example, I will suggest you to also check this website where the participants documented a series of tools for controlling with gestures a tap in a public bathroom to control the temperature and the activation of the water. And I'm very happy about these results, because it's basically through this workshop, we also, let's say, guided a group of people to create a kind of shared libraries that other groups, research groups or designers or developers can use for prototyping their projects. The second activity that will start next month, and this basically is a more, let's say, based on the interaction with the Interaction Intelligent Design Lab of Hongik, is to create this toolbox. Is basically a toolbox that will focus on putting together let's say, the most recent prototyping tools, software tools and hardware tools to make machine learning based interfaces. So it means that we are creating or putting together knowledge that will enable also other research lab to prototype with us novel interactions. And mostly, this work will also focus on creating a distance prototyping library that we call the peer-to-peer library, where that will facilitate the exchange between the two universities. This is a very key part of the project, since when I mean, with this pandemic situation, we tried, all university had to reinvent a way of teaching things. But in our case, and in many cases, we have classes at university that involve making and prototyping activities. So we wanted to create an infrastructure that will enable the two university to share knowledge regarding making projects. So it is basically a streaming setup that will facilitate the exchange of tutorials or documentation that involve prototyping and making activities, and not only, let's say, typical online lectures that are very easy to organize with the current tools like Zoom or Microsoft Teams. And then we have the last activity that is what we call the enabling workshop that hopefully will be organized in Seoul at the Intelligent Design Lab, that is mostly focusing on let's say, disseminating the result of our activity, but also to engage more the civil society, or to open our, let's say, process to other organizations and other academic institutions, and also in order to, of course, understand and validate how we could bring forward this process and to formalize in a more complex or in a more advanced research framework. I finished here. I thank you for your attention, and then I leave Professor Jae-Hyuk Kim to continue, and with this contribution that will focus more on the results of our research workshop. Thank you.
Hi, can you guys hear me well? Yeah, last time I had a little hiccup, sorry about that. Let me share the screen really quick. Oops. Yep. Sorry, let's do it again. Yeah, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your PowerPoint.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, if you start, okay, we can see also in presentation mode.
Is it good or is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, thanks, Sarana, for the first part of the presentation, and thank you for inviting us to this amazing event. Um, so, yeah, hello, or great to meet you. My name is Jae Kim, as Sarah mentioned, and I'm a professor in the Department of Industrial Design at Hongik University. I'm going to share our workshop result and introduce some of the project that we use the machine learning. So before I jumped it in, I'm going to quickly introduce myself. Yeah, this is my working experience that I put it into the map, and I joined in Hongik University quite recently. I guess it's 2 years ago now. I spend most of my time in industry, work from Samsung and Nokia and Microsoft. And this is the place that I started to get interest about machine learning and AI. As an interaction designer, I mostly work on AI speaker and AI assistant and questioning that, how can we talk with them, and then how they understand me better, and how do we living together, type of a question, and led the voice interaction and nature, interactions as well. So beside the Microsoft, project, I'm very excited and interested to work on the social cultural issue that I link with the technology, and I hope I can share my latest work later, but I'm gonna skip this for the time being. Yeah, so this is the project background. As we all know, and we were facing, COVID-19 changed our lives. The way of working and way of, talking and eating, and many things has been changed. Especially, wearing a mask become a big deal. But perception of wearing a mask was quite different by culture. Personal understanding of wearing mask was very different too. So some people refuse to wear a mask, and then they become against the social rule, and it's happening over the country, and people are getting more violent on this. So it became a social issue. People get confused between what's the freedom and what's the individual social responsibility. And I think freedom doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want, right? So this was my original idea, to train my facial expression and match with emoji to understand how computer vision can identify human status and stuff. But after COVID-19, I think maybe I can use this machine learning to respond to what's happening in the world. So I trained the one with a mask and without mask. So if you're wearing a mask and your emoticon is like, oh yeah, it's okay, and if not, then zombie is following type of a prototype, and I used the AL, um, yeah, I use the AI feature to deliver the same message like this. So when you're in the public space, if people didn't wear a mask, and we can show this type of interactive piece and gently um, the push to wear a mask. So we actually we decided to bring this to the public. So we put this tablet PC to the bus station window in Seoul to see how people are reacting on this. So there wasn't many people actually who didn't wear a mask, but there is one guy who wearing a mask not properly, and people see the AF itch on him, so they start to laugh, and they they actually want to try the AF itch, even though they were wearing a mask properly. So this research was a big fail in terms of that. So we want them to wear a mask. We want them to encourage to wear a mask, but people actually did opposite. So they take up the mask, try this feature. So it was failed experiment, but it gave a lesson to us to how we can how designer and people are thinking differently. I kept trying to use the same impact, but a little bit different way. So I used Arduino um, hardware to activate the servo motor. So if you take off the mask, then and this little message uh, pops up and saying almost almost there, wear a mask type of a message. Um, oops. Yeah, so when Serena planned this untouched machine learning workshop, I thought it was great opportunity to learn how designers, how students can use the machine learning and create some reflections on the pandemic and getting an idea to shape the society better and stuff like this. So this is how we get together. Like I think Serena already showed some of the example. Day one, the team Serena gave us lecture about the machine learning, and we used the platform called Discord. Like it's functioning like a Slack, but it's with a video call. So it was quite perfect for perfect tool for us for this workshop. And this is the screenshot of the group discussion. There was 7 Hongik University students, and Team EU is joined from many different cities like Berlin and Swiss and London, Oslo, even state and Hong Kong. Some of the designers are joining, and then we get together and then gathering our idea together. So in order to create a machine learning model, we need to learn some of the platform, which is we mostly learn through the teachable machine learning and Runway ML. These are the tool that the creator and then designer can also play with a machine learning. So that require the no coding till until you make a model. But now you need the code to put it into the output, right? So you need to know a little bit about the programmable language. So there was a session that we learned about the P5JS to putting into your model and your output together. Yeah, so this was a Korean team setup. We all students are sitting on my lab, and then we go with a video webcam, couple of the webcam, and so students were mostly from industrial design majors, so most of them were never had experience before about the using a programmable language before, so Team Serena was helping to Mateo and to get a basic setup really quick, and then so we were able to build a small prototype for run their Untouched project concept. So now I'm going to share 4 different projects. And the first one is Untouched karaoke. Cultural background in Korea is on this project. That karaoke we call 노래방 is one of the most popular activities in Korea. But COVID-19, after COVID-19, so we are all aware that like small room with multiple people and sharing a one mic and pressing a button for the play music, these all type of experience are quite not safe. So that's why people kind of avoid to going there. So they come up with this idea. They wanted to add some lure. What if we add some lure? Then the experience in karaoke will be better in terms of the pandemic. So they had a lure. So when they're doing in a karaoke, so it's not a it's not a typical problem solving type of design approach, but they twist a bit. So rule number one is you have to wear a mask while you're singing. So if you feel high and some reason you take off the mask, the music will be stopped, so you cannot really singing anymore. So rule number two is keeping the distance with the mic. Is if the distance between your mouth and mic is getting closer, the music will be minimized. It's going to be volume will be down. So you're not really hearing well, therefore you're not really singing well. But the distance between your mouth and your mic is getting far away, is getting away, then music volume will be louder. So you can enjoy the singing. It's a bit ironic, but so this is they try this their idea to how this is how we try. So when you on the mask, typical karaoke screen is playing, but with if you take off the mask, some funny duck video is playing to interrupt to your singing. And second one is also like I say, when mic is getting closer, its volume is getting down, and when mic is getting away, the volume is getting up. So they use the teachable ML to train the model, the one with a mask, the one without mask. It's exactly the same thing that I tried before, like I can show you before. So it's quite an info. It's not recurring in coding in the status. And for the second idea, you use the runway ML. It's different program, different application to train the position of your arm. So you see that your arm's position, the one getting closer and one getting afar. You can train that. So this is the prototype on rule number one. So I'm just gonna play.
사랑의 백설이 나를 사랑으로
Can you guys hear the sounds as well?
채워줘요.
Yes, we can.
사랑의 백설이가 다 됐나봐요. 당신 없이 못 살아. 정말 나는 못 살아.
Yeah, she did some acting, so it's quite fun to watching. Yeah, so this was the prototype for rule number one they created, and then this is the second prototype. So let's play one by one. Yeah, prototype was a little jumpy at the time. You see that when getting a mic is getting far away, then the music is playing loudly, and when they get close, it's kind of stopping. This one as well. It's getting bigger, and then it's getting smaller. Yeah, and then we actually share this prototype with all AU team as well through the Discord, like this is live, yeah,
So
playing.
when you take off your mask, there's the
Yeah, and then second project is Untouched delivery. Cultural background is we think Korean think that is one of the Korea is one of the most advanced country on delivery scene. So wherever you are, you're in the middle of the park or you're in the middle of the Han River, if you order the food, then they know exactly where you are, so they deliver the food right away. So that's kind of the scene that we all the time see in the, before the COVID, but in the COVID-19 with delivery a lot still, and even but we don't want to get the package directly on hands to hands anymore. So now, like one of the picture that is exactly the same in Switzerland. So now delivery guy put the packaging into the autonomous cabinet. and then they share the password to open it, right? But people feel using a passcode and pressing the button in the public space is also not safe. You have to touch, so you require to touch. So they come up the idea to using a hand gesture passcodes rather than pressing a numeric buttons on the display. So delivery guy trained their gesture, and then when they put in the package, and then user will get the same gesture to take out their package. So this is their scenario. And then also they use the teachable machine learning to train hand gesture. And this is the prototype in the bottom. So I'm gonna quickly play that. Yeah, so it's quite a simple idea. And then I think it could be very useful tool for it. And then next project is Axe It. So it's the combination word between exercise and it. So we're experiencing right now with COVID-19, we all stay home, getting a delivery food a lot, and but lack of time to exercise. So they pointed out that those type of a cultural issue. So they come up with idea that like when you want to deliver the food, the delivery app forced to experience to uh, forced to exercise to complete your order. So in order to you get a fried chicken, you have to do 3 set of the squats or plank or something like that. So as you see this video, this is how we train the model and then using teachable machine learning. So you see that you clearly see the color bar is working, reacting by the one that is sitting and one in the stand up. So this is how we are modeling. So it's like a squirting. So that's why it knows it's squirting, it knows it's exercise. So and we also added some of the counting mechanism and also text and the indicator that you squat and stand up as 1, 2, 3, and also the mission complete. So now you can enjoy the meal, you can order the food, that type of a message as well. So so this is the prototype I'm going to play. Yep. And then the last project, last one is called mass traffic lights. So cultural background in Korea. So government set several different social distancing level for the COVID-19 for the pandemic. So level 3 is kinds of lockdown, so you're not getting anywhere. But level 2.5, you can go to the cafe, but you're only do takeout. But level 2, you can stay in a cafe for an hour, but you have to wear a mask. But you have to take off the mask time to time to drink a coffee, right? So but no one really measuring that, and we can really stop the people who didn't wear a mask, because some people just didn't care, right? So they come up the idea, so that if there is a traffic light to tell the customers to when can I take off the mask to drink a coffee, for everyone's safety. Because if you're taking off the mask and you're talking and you're drinking, it could be you know it could be not safe, right? So the idea is that so when someone take off the mask and drinking a coffee means your red light is to you is red light. So so you cannot you don't want to take off the mask. And then when everyone are wearing a mask, so it's kind of safe, then it's green light to me, so I can take out the mask and then I can drink a coffee. So this is the basic idea that they did. And then they also train the model, the one with a mask, the one without mask, and then also drinking a coffee type of a action to match with their scenario. And then this is the prototype. I was just gonna play. Yeah, so they think that whenever you're touching your mask that means like a yellow signal, like a traffic light. So they kind of play with that and the acting and mimicking those kinds of situation, that red, and then when someone starts to drink is green and stuff like that. Yeah. So this is for me. Again, this is not what we're trying to do is not a problem solving type of a design approaches, but we are more towards to reflecting on our social cultural event. So yeah, it was a great opportunity to have a workshop with a Serena's team, and students are very happy and learn about the ML to use, So thank you, Serena, and then thank you the team, and I'm also very exciting in the second round of the workshop and second round of the collaboration work. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Serena and Jay Kim. It's very fascinating to see actually how far technology can lead its way in our society. So I think we can open now our Q&A session. Today we have a first question for both of you from Chan Park. How did this collaboration between two entities come about, and who contacted whom for the first time?
Maybe I can answer. Okay, so this has actually made possible thanks to the Science and Technology Office in Seoul, the Swiss office, thanks to Alessandra Picella and her team. It's also related to the fact that since 2017, I started arranging the exchange project with the South Korean academic institution. Myself, thanks to the exchange program by ATH, I spent 3 months in Seoul at Hongik doing an exchange research project. So since then, I started creating more contacts that are, of course, facilitated by the Swiss office. And I was already mapping, and I had in my map of contacts the Hongik University as one of the institutions that could match our, let's say, academic profile as an applied research institute. Was actually the good match facilitated by the office, but also by my previous networking activities. And I asked for the right person to have contact with. And then I was also very lucky that Alessandra Picella and the Swiss Science and Technology Office put me in contact with the director of the Department of Industrial Design, and then with Professor CH-ROK Kim.
Thank you, Serena. So it's always important to start by personal ideas and interactions, right, and everything in every project. We have another question from our public. Is there plans for filing IP around this? I presume there is industry interest in potential application of this to solve issues. I don't know who is ready to answer.
Give me if you have opinions on that. I mean, we never thought about this aspect actually, but I have in mind, but I don't know if you have reflection on this.
Yeah, I mean that would be a great idea. I mean, we haven't really looked it up how other application or other tools are doing it exactly the same thing. I mean, for example, computer vision is taking in a part that like identify your hand gesture and stuff is already exists before the machine learning come out, right? So it's the matter of how we can frame it together, and then responsible for the social cultural things that would be the key thing that we want to look at. So yeah, those are the great idea. Thank you.
Thanks to the public for the great idea then. And I have a question as well for you both. And So I took notes during the presentations, was very interesting. When talking about new technologies and machine learning, trust is always a key point. And in some aspects, we perceive as humans touched interactions and services as more reliable. So how do you try to overcome this aspect of trust and reliability in the design phase, but also in the application phase?
Okay, that's a very good point. So I have an opinion about that, and also perspective that is not related to the kind of work that we are doing, that is actually trying to have an impact of enabling people to come up with new solutions. And new, it means, doesn't mean that have to be innovative, but also more interesting and more adjust to the human needs. And then how to open this knowledge to other, to other institution and people that want to step in this process. Technology is not the answer. Whatever we have in our environments is based on services, infrastructure. So, touch interface are not that safe as untouched interface based on face recognition, for example. So what I think is like, the more people understand the technology, even civil society, the more they will be aware when they are using a service and how they are going to use this. But this is something that is not actually related to how the experience work, but mostly on the ethics of the people that created infrastructure behind a service. So yeah, face recognition as a tool for interacting with things, of course, is more dangerous for example, for privacy. At the same time, it's enabling a new generation of a solution for inclusion interfaces. So it's actually better for including people also with disabilities. So we cannot stop this kind of user experience in a new solution just because the ethics behind the overall infrastructure will be no ethical, so but this is a very relevant point, and I think we can consider that in the design process. At the same time, it's something that would be actually based on the whole engineering of the service behind an interactive space.
Yeah, and for sure, it's something that it cannot be solved by technical people only. Right.
Of course, it's like by policymakers, of course. If the data of our face recognition is in Switzerland and South Korea is not shared with big tech companies, that's already a big step.
Yeah, I agree with what Sarah has mentioned, that imagine 5 years ago, if we put it in the camera and the building entrance and whatever is office entrance, we're like, what are you doing? Why are you taking a picture of me, or why are you recording or something? People are curious about, people are a little bit obsessed about the security, right? But with the COVID-19, like every building have to checking up that their body temperature, whether you're affected by the COVID-19 or not. So in a way, we're getting used to it, those kinds of circumstance. And then technology itself is not reliable in terms of the next generation of interaction. But I think it will take time, but eventually people will get used to it and understand quite a bit. So the way of reusing the device or computer, we're using a typing and then mouse and then touch technologies came out, or new type of a pin to zoom in type of gesture is invented. It didn't exist before, and then now with the camera, it's machine learning, all to get together. So now I would say the time, we used to learn how the technology itself is running. We used to learn how the device is working. But at this point, next paradigm would be human doesn't really need to know we don't really need to learn about, like a machine can learn what we are doing. So it's getting more natural. So it's developing as natural interaction. So I think, like, Sarah mentioned, that is a huge part of the designer to do with all just working as an experience part. And of course, engineer working together, and then we try to make a better understandable infra on this tech. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot to both. We have another question from our public. Are there any open call opportunities for similar projects in the future, or are there other ways other Korean universities and labs can get involved in the Swiss-Korean connection and collaboration? I think Ji Yeon can answer this question.
So I would like to jump in really quickly to answer this question. You can leave us an email if you're interested in any collaboration or participating for the joint projects between the two countries. And upon your email request, we will send you that detailed information about the upcoming call opportunities between the two countries. So
yeah, thank you. I think that this also answered the next question, which is what is the website of Swiss Korean Science Club and a point of contact. So I think that then, yeah, you can see after the event all the contacts. Sorry, I muted myself. I have a last question since we have still 3 minutes. It's regarding cultural acceptance of these technologies, which is very, very important. So you said that you try to create this mixed environment to meet people from different backgrounds and outside the academia, which is very important because I think that sometimes the social aspects are not so prominent in technical projects, which is a shame. So, for instance, in your experience, which cultural differences between Switzerland and South Korea did you have to take into consideration in the design phase in this sense?
Well, I mean, this is, of course, it's the part of the project that we really don't have. I mean, it could take like 5 years to answer to this question, right? Because if we have to set up a really experimental research a project to evaluate the acceptance of a design solution, this would require a lot of time, and also to have also, let's say, ethnographic research competencies involved in user research and testing. So the point in our case is actually really focusing on this current situation, that is the pandemics. And for sure, the two different countries reacted really different to this also monitoring from the governments. And we saw that we know that it's actually, there is a big difference in that, in the use of mobile technology and the sharing of data. So I'm aware that this project is actually very interesting in these times, and also the two countries are also the right countries to compare when we come up with the integration of technology for solving issue generated by the pandemics, because the two contexts are very different in terms of use of data and technology. I know that in South Korea, the control of people and the sharing of data is like the privacy issue is managed completely different in Europe and in Switzerland. And here, of course, again, we have also a lot of complexity in collecting data from people for privacy issue, but also for infrastructure issues, because the technology in South Korea, for example, is more used and widespread that strangely in the civil society rather than in Switzerland, that where I think we are more analog people. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I think that is there will be we will need to set up like a larger project to really focus on this aspect and yeah, we will try to tackle this in the next phase, but only as a starting point, just listing what are the main aspects that we can include already in this part.
Thanks a lot, Serena. So at this point, I think we really look forward to see what comes next with this project, how it proceeds. I think it's time to close the event. Thanks a lot, everyone, Jay Kim, Serena, and the Science and Technology Office of the Swiss Embassy in South Korea. Thank you, everyone who participated. If you have any questions, you find here the QR code to reach us and also the email. Thanks a lot, everyone.